In this lecture, we're going to add styles to our active links. A link is active if the URL in the browser matches the URL in an anchor tag. The view router allows us to change the appearance of a link if it's active. It's a great way to let the user know they're on the right page. Creating active links is an optional step for most applications. I recommend creating active links because they're a subtle way to improve user experience. They let the user know where they're currently at in the application. Let's begin creating some active links. We're using the Tailwind framework. We need to pick a class for changing the color of the links if they're active. I've gone ahead with picking a class. We're going to be using the text yellow 500 class, which will change the color of the link to yellow. We should apply this class to the anchor element if the link is active. Let me show you what the link will look like after applying it to the class. I'm going to inspect the About link on the menu. On the anchor tag, we're going to swap the text white class with the text yellow 500 class. Immediately, the text will turn yellow. We're going to use the view router to toggle the text yellow 500 class on the links. If we look closely at the link, there are additional classes added to the anchor element aside from our Tailwind classes. These classes are applied by the router link component. There are different ways we can customize this behavior to get the desired effect. The simplest way is by overriding the class names. We can swap these classes with our own classes. In our editor, let's open the router file. Scroll down to the router variable. The object being passed into the createRouter function is where we can configure the router. We can configure the classes that get applied to active links in this object. There are two classes added by the router. The router will perform partial and exact matching. First, it'll check for a partial match. A partial match is when the URL and path don't match completely, but if the URL does contain the path, then an active class will get applied. This is great if you have a submenu navigation, but we don't have one in this example. It doesn't make sense to have the active class applied to the link. The second type of matching is an exact match. If the path and URL match exactly, an active class will be applied. We need to ask ourselves which classes we want to override. For our case, we will be overriding an exact match. There isn't a reason to highlight the link if there's a partial match. In the configuration object, we'll add an option called Link Exact Active Class. This value for this option must be the name of the class we'd like to use. We'll set this option to the text yellow 500 class. We're finished. Let's refresh the page in the browser. If we navigate to the About page, the About link is highlighted in yellow. This indicates the text yellow 500 class was applied to the link. If we navigate away from the About page, the link will turn back to white. There's only one problem. The link to the home page turns yellow. It looks awkward and unnecessary. We want other links to change color except for the name of our app. Luckily, the router package allows us to override the classes on a specific link. We don't have to apply the classes globally. Back in the editor, open the header component file. Search for the link to the home page. There's a comment above it that says App Name. We're going to add a property called Exact Active Class. The value for this property will be the class name that gets applied to the link when there's an exact match. The router library will prioritize this class over the global class. We're going to set this property to NoActive. The NoActive class doesn't exist in our app. We're adding it in to prevent the link from turning yellow. We're using this name to help other developers understand the color of this link shouldn't change. Let's refresh the page. The link for the home page has turned back to white. If we navigate around, the other links will turn yellow. We've achieved the desired effect. If you would like more information, you can check out the documentation. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to the API reference documentation page. Be sure to check it out once you're finished with this section.